Welcome to the Hell is Chrome podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Dyer. Welcome back after our 1 week hiatus. Everybody is back from the beach, feeling refreshed and rejuvenated and ready to plow ahead with this, the only supporter focused podcast in San Diego that I'm aware of. Yeah, sorry, we missed last week. There was some stuff happening at the club with regards to the club and the union. If you have not heard or gotten any updates from your supporter group, either you are not paying attention or your supporter group is dropping the ball. But never fear, we are here to give you all of that information. And of course, as always, to help us do this is the president of the Supporters Union and the co-host of this podcast and the producer. And I'm sure he has more jobs that I'm neglecting to mention. It's John Cross. John, what's up, man? How are you?
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for that introduction. And I guess really, you said going to the beach and everything. I'm the one who should be apologizing because I'm the one who couldn't make the podcast last week. And
Hey,
we'll
man,
talk about
I
why
don't
a
go to the
little
beach.
bit later in the show.
I haven't been to the beach in years, man. No worries. I don't even go to the beach.
But yeah, we were hoping to still do the podcast, but I got tied up with something that I said we will talk about a little bit later. Because it is important union stuff, but it meant that I couldn't make it back in time to actually do the show last week. So apologies for that.
No worries. You miss a week, you miss a lot. Except maybe right now when there's actually no soccer being played in Snapdragon. But we do have some news to get to this week. The first two matches of the San Diego FC Football Club were announced. There was, I think that's kind of the big news. A little surprising. You may be also surprised that I have thoughts on that, so we'll get into those. But like to get started, let's dive right in, John. Last week,
Okay.
We didn't have a podcast because you and the rest of union leadership were at SDFC headquarters with a slide deck, killing board members. Board members of the club and the front office of the club. Death by PowerPoint. You really slayed with your slide deck. Tell us how things went.
I think things went well. We did have that presentation on Tuesday. That was our presentation for official recognition. So it was the board members, which there are 4 of us right now, plus about 5 representatives from each of the recognized SGs. So there was close to 35 total that we had all up there giving a presentation. And yes, there was a slide deck. But we presented our case that we had met all the requirements that the club had listed for us on the document they gave us over the summer of all the things we needed to do to be officially recognized. And that was our presentation to say we believe we have met those official requirements. So there were a couple other things also that happened that meeting. We had the head coach, Mikey Varis, gave a presentation as well. I think they had the opportunity to have some people in the room or with people in the room. And he gave a little presentation about his coaching style and other things, which was good to hear. It was good to get a little insight of what he intends to do in terms of a coach and how to lead the team and the organization. So that was good, unexpected. I guess we found out the day of. We didn't find out at the presentation. But that was a little unexpected and nice. And I think his presentation ahead of time really helped set the tone for our presentation afterwards. That was the gist of it. I mean, there was question and answer session afterwards, and then people hung out for a little bit and socialized, and then everybody went home. That was kind of the gist of the evening.
And no resolution, right? So you made the pitch for recognition. Did the club say affirmed, we recognize you? Did they declare that? Did they make a declarative statement of recognition?
Officially, we have not had any word one way or the other from the
But
club.
if
we're
like
waiting to hear back.
If they saw you on the street, like, would they recognize you?
I I'm sure they would recognize me.
I think
Yes.
y'all are being
Um,
recognized every week at these meetings. So it's just a matter of making it official because from where I sit, you seem pretty recognized.
well,
Is there
official.
another union they're
Yeah.
dealing with? Is there another? Is there a competing
Not that I'm
supporters
aware of.
union? So there's not like a second backup supporters union that is incorporated and has done all of this work, has met with the club numerous times over several months, met all of their requirements, made requested changes, jumped through all of these circus hoops. Are you saying there is not another union that has done all of this stuff?
If there is, I am unaware
Boy,
of
wouldn't that be like a,
another union.
how about that for an October surprise, right?
Right.
You know
That would
what?
be an October
You know what?
surprise.
We're gonna recognize this union that you had no idea about. Yeah, what a shocker that would be. So it seems like we're getting like we just made a joke about it being October. Well, what comes after October? Looking at my calendar, it looks like November. We're getting pretty far along in the pretty deep into the calendar for this to still not be settled. There are things my understanding is there are things that really can't happen until recognition happens, right?
Well, certainly from a supporter standpoint, I mean, that's part of being officially recognized. You can't bring in the drums. You can't do all the things you want to do. Tifos, the whole 9 yards. You can't do any of those things without being officially recognized and working with the club, especially I'll say especially at a stadium like Snapdragon Stadium that has such very stringent rules. So part of being officially recognized and working with the club is trying to get Snapdragon a little bit to relax some of the rules they have for the majority of the stadium. And, if we're able to police ourselves and show that we're responsible, that we can have larger flags. We can do all the things that supporter groups do. And one of that we've already worked out in terms of bringing drums and other things in that people can't do. But we're working on some other things, or I should say, we have things we would like to work on with them. We can't really do any of that, really have those firm conversations till, well, I'll say it this way, any group can't do it until they're officially recognized. So um, we're
Well,
getting late. It
here's
is it
here's
is
my
concerning
here's
that we're
my
getting
question
closer and
for you.
closer.
So the union is a corporate entity, right? You are an independent corporate entity. What
Correct.
is preventing proactive talks with Snapdragon's SDSU? Like, why not start having these conversations now? Like, do you have to wait on the club? Why do you have to wait on the club when you are a legal entity amongst yourselves?
That's a good question. I never actually considered that at all. Might be an idea worth exploring. I don't know. Um, I never even entertained the idea. I don't really have an answer for that.
Well, I
But
think
now you have me thinking about it.
the ideal
I mean,
scenario isn't to
you want
go
to
around.
work with everybody. Yeah, you don't
Right,
want to
right.
go around.
But at the same time, um, whenever there is a say, let's say there's a deer, a dead deer in the road, right? But you have to
Okay.
get down that road, right? There's a something's going on. You got to get down that road. Sometimes you just got to get around the carcass, right? If something is impeding progress, necessary progress, right? You got to go around it. Now, maybe that's not an official like sit down, like maybe it's not an official sit down. Maybe we don't talk about this on the podcast, but it doesn't hurt to have coffee with somebody. Hey, Joe Blow, Mister whatever your role is, can we just get coffee and let's chat about some stuff like unofficial? Like I feel like maybe it's time for some greasing of the skids, right? Because a lot of business gets done through like interpersonal relationships, and if you have like a gatekeeper that is holding you at arm's length to kind of preserve their whatever for whatever reason, right? And it's not working for you as an independent entity, right? Like you kind of got to do what you got to do for success. I mean, I am always trying to stoke revolution, so Uh, take
Yes, you are.
everything I say with a grain of salt. But I mean, listen, I'm frustrated by proxy over here. Like, it's incredibly frustrating to do this show every week and kind of marking the progress of this whole process. And every time we talk, it's like, well, nothing yet, nothing yet, nothing. It's very, yeah. I don't understand, what what the problem is, or why this isn't a priority for the folks who I think have the power to make things happen. With a simple, I'm guessing, a stroke of the pen.
Yeah, I all I can say is we have no official word one way or the other. I mean, that's a question to ask the club.
No,
Um,
they don't answer questions, but it's I just wanted to I know we've been on this subject for a second, just to wrap things up in a bow. There is no backup union.
as
You're
far
the
as I
only
know, there
the only
is
game in
no other
town.
group. Yeah.
There will be at least one MLS game at Snapdragon in February. That is like 4 months away.
March 1st,
March,
actually, I think. Yeah, because
4 months. February
I think
short.
that
We can.
Saturday is
Okay,
March 1st.
so that will happen. There have been 0 tickets sold in the supporter section because that is a
It's my understanding, yes.
union thing. Okay. And we've already covered that it's October and next month is November. Okay. I just wanted to check the score, make sure, looking at the scoreboard, understanding the landscape. I was hanging out with Marines all day. So in the Marines, we would call that the battle space. We got to understand what the battle space is, right? So yeah, that's what it is, right? Time's ticking, and there's still a lot of work to be done. So to transition off of work to be done, the last time we had a show 2 weeks ago, we talked a little bit about um, some issues kind of internally with the union. I wouldn't call it infighting, but more like a little bit of a stumble, a delay in one of the founding supporter groups uh, wasn't in the union yet for whatever reason. Where are we on that? Are we all good?
Oh, yeah, definite progress has been made. The original 7 that were part of it are all represented now within the union.
The Magnificent
Um,
Seven.
the Magnificent 7 are
Beautiful.
all. In fact, there was an event last Friday. I did not attend because I had a conflict, so I couldn't make it to that event on Friday. But all the reports I had were things went incredibly smoothly. Everybody was there together as one. They did a big march into the event. Everybody seemed to have a good time. So yeah, on that front, everything looks like it is. It is. It's a week. Not to not to jinx anything, but yeah, everything looks like it's moving forward smoothly, and that's the way we hope and expect it will be the rest of the time.
So, okay, successful event, union together. It just, man, I hate to go back to what we were just talking about, but it sounds like y'all have your stuff together. It just, there you don't have a rogue SG anymore. Everybody's united in one fist, right? Or flat palm for a five, right? Like,
Right.
all it's not all adversarial. So, well, I mean, that's good news. It's so much of what we've talked about over the last several months is things that the union needed to get done, but it's very
Right.
strange to be in a space where you've done what you needed to do and you're waiting now on somebody else to do what needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean that's a good description. We feel like for the first time we're waiting on a lot of things. Was trying to do the our application for tax exempt status, and there's a couple of things we just realistically can't move forward. I could have There's a couple other things we need on our end that we should be able to do in the next couple of weeks, but I don't know if that's going to get upheld while we wait, right, for a decision to be made. So yeah, it felt like it was go, 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 go until Tuesday. Everything was focused on last Tuesday. And now we're just kind of in almost a holding pattern. And it's a little hard to plan for what we want to do. Because I mean, there is I maybe I should be careful how I phrase this, but like we have no indication either way. It could very easily, they could come back and say yes, and they had to work out some things internally on their end, or maybe they say no, there's some other things that you need to do and fix. We we just we just don't even know which way things might be leaning. So it's unusual because we've been so focused on doing the things we need to do, and now we're just waiting, really.
Yeah, it's like, whenever sometimes I have to take my kid's computer away, and I'll tell him, like, you lost your computer, you need to clean your room. And so he'll clean his room, and then I'll be like, okay, well, actually, you also need to dust your dresser or whatever. And he'll do that. And I'm like, well, you know what? Also, I'll just keep finding stuff for him to do, even though the original reason I took his computer is just so he would do one thing. But once you have that power, you kind of want to extract every concession you can from the aggrieved party or whatever. And yeah, maybe it's, as a teenager, that would be incredibly frustrating. But as the tyrannical parent, I definitely see the appeal in treating and dealing that manner.
Well, I don't know that that's happening. I want to be clear, but that is where we are right now. Right now, we're waiting to hear back, and eagerly awaiting something, some kind of indication. If we need to fix something, give us a chance to fix it. If not, let's move forward. Uh, just just something would be, I think, a little helpful. Probably people on our end are going a little, I don't know. I was gonna say stir crazy, not really the right word, but just kind of waiting. Everybody's waiting to see what happens because there's a lot of things on our end we'd like to enact and get ready to do. Because again, everything was working towards that Tuesday meeting and with plans to keep moving forward. And now we're kind of just we're waiting on the club. That's it. It's in the club's hand. And as we've talked about internally, we can only control what we can control. We felt we have done what we needed to do. We felt we honored the document that the club put out there. We haven't heard anything negative, but we haven't heard anything positive either, right? So it just we're just waiting to see. Um, we're waiting for official word. That's just where we are right now.
Well, hopefully, it turns the corner soon. I really, this relationship that I'm not a part of, but that you are engaged in with the club, with the union's relationship with the club, like, this is such a kind of a unique relationship in professional sports, and I think it really requires a level of professionalism and respect from parties on each side. And you know, the more things like this occur, it's really difficult to say, like, I feel like that mutual respect exists. Now, this is an outside perspective. I'm not in the room, but at some point, right? Like, there's a fundamental kind of disrespect for people's time, their labor, their free labor, because you are not employees of the club. Uh, so yeah, I really it's really gone on long enough, my opinion.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, we don't know why, so it is.
Well, that's another
I
thing
just
with
wanted.
respect, right? Like, it's been 2 weeks since or 1 week since the presentation, and you haven't heard an ounce of feedback from the club. Um, yeah, I don't know what other word there is, other than, I mean, I can't imagine how you feel like you're not valued, you feel like you're not respected, your work's not respected, your efforts not being respected. Um, you know, this constant kind of vibe, from the outside is just, you know, and I understand a professional sports organization has a competing set of priorities. They're trying to do 100 things at one time. But, you know, it seems that the supporter is just kind of taken for granted.
Yeah, I don't. I'm gonna let you have that space to comment in it. Where, like I said, it is easy. I think for I totally hear what you're saying about respecting time. We absolutely wished we would have heard something. I would say within 48 hours. I really expected to hear something one way or another. But it's when you're not getting communication, it's easy to jump to conclusions. But I've learned sometimes in my life the hard way that, you don't always know what's going on the
It's
other
like
side. So you
when
need
your
to,
girlfriend goes to Las Vegas with her girls, and you're texting her
you,
and you're texting and you're like,
and you don't hear
you're
anything.
not responding to me. Like it's 2 a.m. Where are you? Are you safe? you know, you start to get a little anxious. Your brain goes in, certain places, right?
Right. And I think that's the worst thing. The longer it goes on, you get people there's clearly conversations happening within the union. People are concerned and, people each day I think that goes by starts thinking the worst, a worst case scenario. What if we're not recognized? Um, which, is
But
entirely
at the
possible.
same time, like to not be recognized basically means you're not going to have a supporter section. Like what I don't again, I mean, I hate to just circle and keep repeating the same thing, right? I just I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But uh another thing that doesn't make sense to me, I assumed because Snapdragon Stadium has become like this centerpiece of kind of exhibition and tournament international soccer. You've got Wave, professional team playing there 2 seasons now. You've got Gold Cup games. You've got other international friendlies. You have the reality show team coming through with Manchester United. Snapdragon has become, and I don't know if this is something where U.S. soccer, where they're trying to kind of highlight a venue in anticipation of a new MLS team, or if Snapdragon's really that great of a place to play soccer that they want to use it. I mean, looking at the condition of the field at the matches I've attended, it can't be that. But they, I thought my assumption was just that the first match in SDFC history was going to be a home match. We did not get that. We
We did
had an
not.
announcement this week. The first ever match of the SDFC will be at the former home of the Los Angeles Chargers against the LA Galaxy.
That's that's what you chose to lead with, huh?
It,
But yes.
am I wrong?
Uh,
Didn't the
no,
Chargers
no,
play there when they
they
moved?
did.
When the
Yeah.
Chargers broke the hearts of football fans in San Diego and packed their bags and chucked deuces and maybe a single finger also, and left San Diego fans searching, yearning for something, where did they go to play? Dignity Health
Uh,
Sports Park. Dignity
yeah.
Health.
Whatever it was called at that time,
You
StubHub.
had an
I
NFL
don't know.
team playing in a whatever 10 15,000 seat stadium because the Spanos family couldn't stand to play in San Diego one more season. So where is San Diego FC's first ever match going to be? Dignity Health Sports Park.
Yep.
Incredible optics, great decision on MLS's part. Really understanding the community once again, time and again. I feel like this club and this entity really shows how they've got the finger on the pulse of San Diego.
Well, I don't think the club had any say, right? It's a league decision on
Probably
where
not,
to
right?
go.
I'm
Yeah.
sure they would have loved for their first match to be at home.
But I there might have been some changing around. I don't know. I think if you have to open with an away match, to have one that you can actually bus up to easily and get a lot of away support. So there should be, I think there's going to be about 800 tickets allocated And that's not just for supporters, right? That's a mix of season ticket holders and supporters and stuff. So we'll have to see how that actually breaks out. But a section, a designated section for SDFC of about 800 people.
Imagine the first match in club history and it's a freaking away match. Like, what a bummer. What a bummer to have to
It's
go be an away fan at the first match in your team's history. Like, just,
it.
it's a bummer.
Well,
I don't see a positive to this. It's a real bummer.
you have, I think, a lot of teams have opened when they come in new to MLS, and a lot of them because they have a stadium that maybe isn't quite finished yet, where they have to do some last things. So sometimes they open on the road for several games. Um, I don't think that was the case with LAFC, but they did, if I remember correctly, they opened on the road against Portland for their first game before they came back for a home game. So it's not uncommon. And again, I'm glad ours is close. It's going to be fantastic for the 800 or so people who get to go. But yeah, everybody else is out of luck till the next
one thing
game.
about Dignity Health Sports Park is it's a soccer specific stadium. There are awnings, there is shade at Dignity Health Sports Park. No question that stadium was designed for soccer, and it was very weird when you had an NFL team playing there. They looked very much out of place, like they really didn't belong there. They had really just abandoned an entire fan base that they still struggle to recapture to this day. But it just speaks to the stadium being, a good place for soccer. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not the best place for this particular game. Like, I don't, LAFC also an easy drive away. My opinion, maybe I don't know what the word is, a sexier club to go and see the Galaxy. They've got a longer history, but LAFC kind of captured some part of football culture that I think Galaxy, there's a reason that LAFC immediately had throngs of fans in LA who they filled something there. So, and just personally, I just know a lot of people around here that are LAFC fans. I only know one Galaxy fan.
Yeah, I know quite a few both, and it'll be, again, for those 800 people will be great, and everybody else will have to wait till the first. But as I said earlier in the podcast, like, we can only deal with what we can control, right? And focus on like that. How that plays out is totally out of our control. And we'll be planning for both those games.
I guess it could be
as a union
it could have been Houston Dynamo away, like something really crappy.
New England,
go play in the middle of a parking lot somewhere in the Texas asphalt. Like, my gosh. So yeah, there's definitely worse ways that could have gone down. Let's talk about that home opener then. That's going to be a lot more fun. March 1st, you said?
March 1st, yes.
At Snapdragon Stadium. That's the stadium they're going to, even though there's no shade, they're still going to play there. That's the plan?
They are playing there.
Okay.
And as they keep reminding people, most of the games will be at night.
Oh, what happened to all the games being at night?
Yeah. Most of the games.
Once again, clean your room, but actually you got to dust your shelf. Once again, things just get peeled back one by one. But yes.
But yeah, that home opener will be against St. Louis. So that will be interesting to come out.
St. Louis, an FC? Are they an SC? What is the name of this team?
That's a good question.
Okay.
I got to educate myself a little
better.
Well,
it's a toss-up. You got about a 50-50 chance
of
it being SC or FC. Do they put the soccer first, or did they put the city first? Do you know that?
I think the city first.
Okay.
But again, you know me well enough. Also, I really don't care. I don't care the name of the team we're playing. I don't care what colors they wear. My energy. I mean, I know most of the teams, but I don't pay attention to the players on the other teams unless, they're really good and you hear about them through other ways. I know there's some people who really like they memorize the lineups of every team. Like they know all the players and know what's going on, who's hot and who's not, and what the trend is as they're coming into a game. I couldn't care less about any of that
Imagine
because,
getting that into MLS. Like,
well,
imagine.
I'm there to represent San Diego and support my team.
You'd
That's it.
better have a
That's where all
gambling
my
problem.
energy
I feel
goes.
like
I
you've
don't.
gotta, you better have, if you know that much about MLS, I hope you have a gambling problem, because I can't imagine any other reason to.
I hope it's not a problem. I hope you're successful.
I hope you're a degenerate gambler and you have to know all this stuff. But I'm sorry I interrupted you, but go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say my energy is always focused on our team in San Diego, and I don't take the time to find out a ton of, like, I know the names, we'll be playing them, but I don't care. I don't care who's on the team. I don't care if someone's injured from the team, a star player or something else, because to me that's irrelevant. All my energy on match days goes into supporting my team. Right? I don't. A lot of people have to have those conversations. I'm just not one of them because I'd rather spend my energy and my time on doing things that help our supporter group and help support our team. And all that other stuff just takes away my time from doing that. So
Right.
I don't, and some people love it. I don't want to make it sound like people shouldn't do that. Everybody should fan the way they want to fan, but
Yeah.
that's just not for me. It is so uninteresting to me who we're playing or if a
And
star player,
you
like when
can
people ask
use
about Messi coming to,
you can
San
use that
Diego, like
knowledge
I
of
don't care.
MLS to bet on these matches at Sequan Casino, one of the owners and partners of SDFC. Uh, yes, this is a free advertisement for Sequan. All these casinos got together.
Can you do that?
They killed the initiative to get sports betting legalized online in California. Right, you remember this? A couple years ago, there was
I do remember that. Yeah.
the big sports betting apps and stuff tried to get this bill passed in California. The tribal casinos opposed it for obvious reasons. I also voted against it, not because I care about the success of tribal casinos, but because I don't gamble, and I think it should be harder to
I
gamble.
don't gamble either.
I don't think we should be making it easier for people to gamble. Period, point blank. I think this is a real sidebar, and I apologize, but you know, I am stunned watching live sports nowadays with all of the betting
All
tie-ins
the
to
ads.
supposed like journalistic coverage of sports. Like ESPN has their own like sports book. Like it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that this is where we're at. I understand there's money there, but you know, we used to stand for something in this country, okay? I mean, we used to stand for some pretty ugly things, but there were also some things that were, sacred, right? I mean, we had the Black Sox scandal. These guys were banned from baseball for
Right.
betting on and then throwing the World Series. Pete Rose, who recently died, banned from baseball for betting on baseball. And it's very funny, I think, to watch like say watch that Pete Rose documentary and then tune in for the Padres Dodgers World Series brought to you by uh, you know get divorced and
DraftKings or something. Yeah.
and destroy your financial health .com sportsbook.
Yeah.
It's just very strange to me, but okay, I'm way off I'm way outside the scope of this podcast right now. So at home, St. Louis, March 1st. So can you give us a little bit, what are the conversations like once that was dropped? What are the conversations like in the union? I'm assuming there'll be an opening match tifo. Like, is this being planned? Is there rigging that can support a tifo yet in the stadium? Like, can that even be planned yet? Because you're not recognized. What's the conversation right now?
I would say these are a lot of things we'd like to get in motion a lot faster. A lot of things we were waiting till after the official recognition presentation, and then a lot of stuff on hold here for the week, trying to wait and see what's going on. I mean, I would think if you ask most people in the union, their gut feeling is we will be recognized. Um, but
Well, there's
it's
not a
hard to
backup
plan
union.
and move. There's not a backup union, correct? But there's you know doing an opening match day tifo is a huge fiscal and time commitment, and technically, if we weren't recognized, we couldn't do it, right? There's other things that can't happen, or at least that's that is part of when we did, I guess, the negotiations and talking about what does it mean to be recognized. I mean, that is one of the specific things, being able to do a tifo and use the pulley system. So it's hard to move forward on some things when, even if it might be super tiny, there's still an outside chance that the answer could be no, right? So it's really hard to move forward with everything you have in place, like trying to meet together with Snapdragon and work on security concerns and start putting our other match day stuff into place that we want to do with our match day committees and coordinator, march the match, tailgate, like all the stuff we want to do on a match day is a little bit like up in the air at the moment until like we could play best case scenario and start working forward. But if we get blindsided by something we weren't aware of, that then totally makes all that stuff have to stop because there was something we weren't aware of that we needed to do in order to be officially recognized. It really makes it difficult to plan and move forward. So we are hoping we get some word soon. Feelers on our end have been extended to the club to see if we can get an answer, and we're just waiting to hear. Do we need to do something else? Is it yes? Is it no? We're waiting. That's where we are right now. And we can't control what the club does or how much time they take. So we're trying to figure out what we can focus on and that we're ready to move forward in whatever way, depending on whatever decision the club makes.
All right. Well, I know we're getting short on time here, but I do want to ask you before I forget, where are we with union merch? Is there a T-shirt? Is there a an onboarding package when I join the union? Am I getting a shirt? Am I getting a scarf? Where are we on that?
Still no on that, although we do have our seller's permit. We have the thing we need to kind of get started. But I would say this is one of those things also that it's up in the air till we get more clarity, because it's also there is a fiscal investment that the union's going to have to make, and depending what the club decides, that could be a worthwhile investment or not, right? Depending. So like I said, there are so many things that are currently up in the air until we get some clarity. So
all right,
we're in a position where we could start to move forward on those, but that was another decision, is to wait till official recognition. So we have to see, like, the ball's in the club's court right now. That's
you want to know what's holding up membership numbers? I'm telling you, man.
I know
it's that T-shirt.
It's the merch.
It's the T-shirt. It drives memberships. Okay. Last thing. What's coming up? What should people know about if they want to get out, hang out with the union, hang out with supporters? I know sometimes there may or may not be complimentary things at these things. I know
Right.
at the very least there's probably going to be some koozies or something you can nab, but sometimes there's food, sometimes there's a beverage involved. Where can people expect to be able to hang out again?
Well, the Chrome Ball tour should be kicking off again coming up here in this weekend, I believe. And I don't have it in front of me, I apologize, but I think it's El Cajon this weekend. But all the information's on the SDFC website for the Chrome Ball Tour. We're going to try to hit those remaining ones to recruit more. So as the union, we were really kind of hoping we'd be like looking ahead to this, we'd be able to do it with we're recognized and here are ticket prices and like here's the whole package, and we could really push that out. So don't know, maybe that happens in the next few days this week, but that's what we're looking to for in terms of recruitment. So those is like something like 7 weeks straight practically of Chrome Ball tours to finish everything up. December is going to be big with MLS stuff in terms of all the different drafts, right? That MLS does. Expansion draft, the super draft, the, whatever draft. Again, I'm not the person to talk to for that because I don't care. Just tell me when all the players are here, because I don't have the patience for that kind of stuff. It just I don't find it interesting. Like just tell me who we have once we have them. That anticipation stuff is really,
has there
I
been any
find
word
tedious.
about because I know that I think the combine is here and obviously the draft or the super draft. Like, is this going to be something that, fans can attend? Like, are we going to be, sometimes at the NFL draft, there'll be fan sections in the building who cheer the draft pick. Like, is there going to be, has that been put out yet by the club?
Are you breaking news on that? Because the last I heard, I don't know. Last I heard was the super draft was at a place to be determined. So I have not heard if it's here or not. It
Oh,
wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, so I am reporting. I am not reporting this. I am not
Okay.
citing any sources. I have merely heard rumor that the draft is here and the combine is here, and I don't. That's what I've heard, which does
Wouldn't
make
surprise
sense.
me
So
at
yeah,
all if it was. Yeah.
okay. Well,
And
maybe
I would imagine, with those things, I'm sure the club will be doing events. I'm sure the union will be participating.
but nothing official yet. Nothing.
Those.
They haven't put anything out yet.
Dates is the only thing I know, and they're on the club's website. They have
Okay.
all the dates for those things, but not necessarily the locations for some of them. So those are up there, and then the
So
Chrome Ball
who
Tour
is
events are
the
hitting the
Victor
last cities.
Wembanyama of this year's MLS Super Draft? Who is the player?
You're asking the wrong person.
Consensus
I just told you that.
The consensus number one.
I have no idea, and I don't care.
Is there a consensus number one draft pick even?
Yeah,
I think,
we need to get someone on the show who actually does care about this stuff, because I'm sure there's people out there listening who do care about this.
Of all the sports, this has got to be the hardest one to scout. Like, I feel like the margins in soccer are so small between the greats and the almost greats, like an MLS player and a USL player. Like, the margin in talent and skill is so small. Like, it's so small. It's the hardest thing in the world. I mean, with a basketball player, you can look at their stats, points, rebounds, there's advanced metrics. And I know soccer also has metrics, but I don't know. The metrics don't tell the same story. I don't think as well as in other sports where you have like a batting average and you have, percentages and, completion rates and all of that. I mean, soccer is so much more of a, I don't know, just a minefield as far as like getting it right. So, my hats off to everybody at the club who has to figure out how to fill this team, because I mean, I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah, they'll be picking up some key players certainly during those things, and we've already heard rumors that more players, like after even all that stuff happens and MLS free agency, there will be more players signed like coming into January and February. So the team won't really be set, I think, like all expansion teams, until right before the season starts. I mean, it's gonna, and then expansion teams are tough and start because there's no history, there's no culture. It's not like you're just pulling in a couple new people and you're tweaking from the previous season.
Right.
It's a from the ground up process. So it'll be
I don't know.
interesting to see how it all comes
You know what?
together.
I do it every year in FIFA. I have no problem dominating and winning Champions League. Sometimes in the first season, even if I start, you know what I mean? Like, I don't. How hard could it be?
Oh, yeah,
If
maybe
I
we'll
can
pull
do it
a
in
Chicago
FIFA.
Fire and be an expansion team that makes it all the way to the championship game and wins it.
If that happens, then something's wrong with the system. Yeah, I feel like that shouldn't be able to happen.
I think it's a little easier back when there were when Chicago come in. Maybe I don't know which team they were when they came in. I don't know if that was when they went to 12 or what, but yeah, but they came in and had some key players from Europe, and that helped them dominate. And yeah, I don't think you can do the same thing in MLS anymore.
All right, so
And you shouldn't. Yeah.
before we get out of here, is there anything that we didn't talk about or that people need to know before next week?
I can't think of anything. We're just hopefully next week we have some news, right, on recognition and where we stand, and then it's going to be a heavy push for fast turnaround for recruiting and people to buy their season ticket packages. That's our general plan, assuming everything goes well with the club in terms of official recognition.
All right. Well, stay tuned. Get on Discord of your supporter group. That's where you're going to get the most up-to-date information. Or you could always just wait another week for this show to come out. But I promise you, you're going to want to be in Discord and be engaged and be part of this all. It's coming fast. It'll be here before you know it. So, all right. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us and for listening. We'll be back next week for sure.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye.